Have you been told that delaying your Social Security benefit until age 70 is going to get you more money in the long term? Maybe you've heard that the break-even age for delaying as long as possible is around 80 years old, meaning that if you live past 80, you'll be earning more money from Social Security than if you had taken sooner. In today's video, we're going to tell the story of a real-life client we worked with who benefited from not following the standard advice and how deviating from that advice helped them earn $300,000 more in retirement. Hi, I'm Josh Palmer, Director of Financial Planning with the Noble Group. I'm a certified financial planner and have spent more than 20 years in the financial industry. So let's walk through this scenario. Of course, we're going to change the names and specifics of our client situations for privacy, but I want to show you how their Social Security decision impacted their plan and how it may impact yours as well. So for the sake of this video, we'll call them Jerry and Allison. They're both 62 and want to retire now. Jerry has about $500,000 in his 401k. Allison has about $400,000 in her 401k. Jerry also has $60,000 in a Roth IRA. They have cash savings of $20,000 and about $150,000 in a joint investment account. They're looking to spend $6,000 a month in after-tax today's dollars. They asked for this amount to be after medical expenses because they're retiring at age 62. We're going to need to plan for healthcare coverage not only up until Medicare at age 65, but beyond. Health insurance prior to Medicare will run approximately $10,000 per person per year. Once Jerry and Allison reach 65, we'll begin paying Medicare premiums Part A, B, and D. That will run them about $8,500 per year. The current allocation of their overall assets is about 83% equities. Our planning software projects a return of just over 6.3% per year. Now, this is a projection, and there's no guarantee we're going to be able to get that every year. So we will stress test these projected returns over the next few years with differing rates of return. We'll revisit this later. So now that we've established the basics of their plan, we can use those assumptions to project the rest of their retirement. After discussing family history with Jerry and Allison, we decided to use a life expectancy for Jerry of 92 and Allison of 94. So we'll be planning for 30 years of retirement for Jerry and 32 years of retirement for Allison. Now let's look at their retirement cash flow. Let's look at income. We can see their Social Security income at 62 and how that inflates out over time. We also want to look at expenses, both retirement income needs and healthcare. We then add any potential taxes to see what their total outflow would be. We all know that over time things become more expensive, and that's reflected in this analysis. You can see how at age 62 the retirement need of $6,000 per month continues to grow up until past age 74 to over $96,000. You can also see in the healthcare expenses how we start off a little more expensive from 62 to 65 as we're having to pay for healthcare insurance outside of Medicare. But at age 65, those expenses drop because we're able to transition from commercial insurance to Medicare coverage. When you take the expenses from the income, we have a deficit of about $48,000. This deficit comes from portfolio withdrawals. So in this plan, we take this from our portfolio. And with the addition of Social Security, Jerry and Allison will have the retirement income of $6,000 per month they desire and the cost of healthcare and estimated taxes included. Once I see the deficit in terms of dollars, I want to translate that into a withdrawal rate. What percentage are you pulling out of your portfolio on an annual basis? Is it 3%? Is it 10%? For Jerry and Allison's first year of retirement, they're pulling about 4.2% from their portfolio. It goes up a little bit till age 65, but then drops to 3% once we are not having to pay as much health insurance when we get on Medicare. What I told Jerry and Allison was that these were very sustainable withdrawal rates. We have typically found that somewhere between a 4 and 5% withdrawal on average is the withdrawal rate that most portfolios can sustain for life. Their current portfolio follows a sustainable withdrawal rate. You can see here that over time, the portfolio value continues to grow because our estimated gains outpace our withdrawals. Specifically, we see that they start with a portfolio value at age 62 of around $1.1 million, And because they're withdrawing a low rate of 3 to 4%, their portfolio continues to grow to about a projected value of $2.2 million. Now remember, we're assuming a growth rate of about 6.3%. And we're not going to get 6.3 every year. Some years we get more, some years we get less. But if we can average over their retirement lifespan 6.3%, this is why the portfolio continues to grow. And that is depicted by each one of these gray lines. This was a great meeting with Jerry and Allison. They were able to meet all their financial goals with the assets and income that they had. They were very excited to see this, but they told me that 2 nights before, they were invited by some friends to a Social Security seminar where an individual told them the best thing to do would be to delay their benefits to age 70. So they came back to me and said, "Hey Josh, your plan looks great. What happens if we delay Social Security till 70? Won't that make the numbers look even better?" On the surface, they're correct. If we run the numbers retiring at 62, a lifetime benefit, assuming they live to age 92 and 94, would give them $1.6 million in total benefits. By delaying to age 70, that $1.6 million grows to $2.1 million, almost $500,000 more. Why is that? By taking benefits early at age 62, there is a reduction of almost 30%. By delaying to age 70, there's an increase of 8% per year. But this isn't the whole story. And I wanted to show them what happens if we put this Social Security analysis into their plan. Remember the previous chart we looked at where their portfolio was estimated to grow to about $2.2 million when they started Social Security at 62? Well, take a look at what happens when they delay to 70. Our $2.2 million portfolio has dropped by almost $300,000 in value. Jerry and Allison were stunned. They couldn't grasp how receiving $500,000 more in benefits would actually cause their portfolio to be down by $300,000 at the end of their life. So let's go back to withdrawal rate. You remember earlier when we showed a withdrawal rate at age 62 of 4.2% and keeping near that rate through life. When Jerry and Allison delay taking Social Security to age 70, they have to cover that income shortfall from somewhere, and that would be their portfolio. You can see in the first 8 years of retirement, withdrawal rates are not 3 to 5%. They're 9 to 10%, even up to 14% when they're 69. The issue here is that they're pulling out a much larger portion of their portfolio early on. What this means is that those extra dollars you have to pull out the first 8 years of retirement are not able to grow and sustain your lifestyle ongoing. This was the scenario for Jerry and Allison. This is not the case for everyone. There are many cases that we've run where delaying actually makes sense, but for Jerry and Allison, it didn't. Do you remember Jerry and Allison's estimated portfolio return of 6.3% with their 83% equity allocation? Now that may not be a portfolio that every 62-year-old could stomach. So let's rerun this with a different portfolio and a different estimated return. Let's now assume a more conservative portfolio averaging about 5.2% per year and keep all else the same. What we see now is if we take Social Security at 62, we'd have about a $1 million portfolio at the end of retirement. Delaying Social Security until 70 leaves us with a larger portfolio, about $1.3 million. So in this situation, delaying Social Security with a lower risk, lower return portfolio could actually be beneficial. So why is this happening this way? Why is taking less return on your portfolio giving you a higher benefit at the end of life? When we're earning more on our portfolio assets as we spend them, those assets are not growing at a higher rate, meaning we're spending down assets that will not produce as much to take a higher Social Security benefit later on. All this to say, there is much more analysis that goes into deciding when to take Social Security than just the Social Security benefit. Your entire financial plan, especially your portfolio risk and return, plays a very important role in that decision. But this underscores our belief in the process of financial planning, not just the plan. We know that getting 6.3% or 5.2% is not a guaranteed number. There may be years where you get higher, there may be years where you get lower. That is why this is a process, and we'll continue to update your plan as you move on through your retirement. If you'd like to go through this process with one of our financial advisors, please reach out to us via email or phone. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.